Coming up, we're connecting you with the creativity and culture in your community, including a look at the history behind the music of the iconic Blind Boys of Alabama.
So the Blind Boys showed the world that as long as you got hope, it's not about what you can't do, it's about what you do that makes the difference.
We'll experience art in motion at Nam Keg in the Berkshires.
So he created the piece, and then nature comes in and does the rest.
And a storytelling project tackles the epidemic of loneliness.
I still belong here, and that I can still find peace and belonging. It tears me up, but I still find belonging here, even though the rest of the world may not feel like may not feel like I do belong.
Join us for those stories and more as we explore the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. Up next on Connecting Point.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us for Connecting Point, your source for creativity, culture, and community. I'm Saidalis Bauer. Each week this summer, we're exploring all that Western New England has to offer. And today, we're coming to you from the Canal District in the city of Holyoke, Massachusetts. Built in the late 1800s, the canals utilized the Connecticut River to power the mills that lines them, making the city an industrial powerhouse. At one time, the largest producer of paper in the world, Holyoke became known far and wide as the Paper City. Today, the historic Canal District is the heart of the city, attracting artists and entrepreneurs with recreation, dining, shopping, and entertainment opportunities for residents and visitors alike. And those canals that powered the mills of the past now provide power for the city as it charts its future in the 21st century. You can come to Holyoke for yourself and see all that the Canal District has to offer, but our first story today takes place in the beautiful Berkshires. George Rickey was an American artist best known for his large-scale geometric kinetic sculptures made of stainless steel. Many of his artworks reflected the changing surroundings and were naturally powered by air currents. Nam Keg in Stockbridge is hosting one of the largest retrospectives of Rickey's work in the Northeast through the fall, and producer Dave Frazier brings us the story.
Kinetic sculpture is three-dimensional art that moves. The movement can be generated by machines, people, or in the case of artist George Rickey, nature.
Rickey saw that nature was as much an important piece of his work as the creation of the sculpture that he was doing. So he created the piece, and then nature comes in and does the rest.
There are 12 of Rickey's large sculptures on display throughout the grounds at Nam Keg, a quintessential country estate and National Historic Property located in Stockbridge. Inside are 8 more sculptures and 3 works of art, including Rickey's interior tabletop works, hanging pieces, artwork, and archival documents.
The George Rickey Foundation, who we've worked closely with, and the George Rickey Estate, which are located just less than 20 miles from here in Chatham, New York, we've worked together. There was a recent show in New York City on Park Avenue, great expression of his work. And our show is following on that, and I know there's some more shows going on around the world. So there is a much deeper interest in his work. It's coming around again.
Rickey was said to be among the most inventive and influential sculptors of the 20th century. His kinetic works are the outgrowth of his experiments with wire and metal that began during his service in World War II. By the late 1950s and 60s, he had defined his sculptural forms as simple geometric shapes, such as rectangles, trapezoids, cubes, and lines.
These are stainless steel boxes, some set at angles, so as they turn, they're not knocking into each other, they're moving past each other. And inside of each box or element are counterweights of lead, and they're placed precisely so that they influence the movement as wind comes along, and the surface of the piece acts as a sail, much like on a boat, and it captures the wind and sets the piece into motion.
The pieces are somewhat separated across the 44-acre property, allowing visitors to see them and interact with the environment. Each of the large-scale sculptures has been placed in a way that complements the landscape, the shapes of the sculptures mimicking the shapes of the view or the building nearby.
The gardens at Naumkeag, designed by Fletcher Steele from the 1920s to the 1950s, are an incredible artistic expression of landscape design. And they are a perfect setting for these incredible sculptures by George Rickey. We're also on a hillside, and there's always a nice gentle breeze here, sometimes stronger, which helps to set the works in motion. We're looking at Untitled Circle from 2002. It's the last work by George Rickey, and it is an 8-foot open circle on a pivoting arm that gently rocks in the wind and frames the view, and that view through that round opening is always changing as the piece rocks back and forth. This is Unfolding Square from 1994. It's a jointed line piece, so instead of one straight line, it's 4 lines broken up, jointed. It has infinite movements. The surface, like many of his works, are sort of randomly polished stainless steel, so as it moves, it captures different angles of the sun, reflecting that back. It can fold down into a square, open up into a straight line. It's just, for Rickey, one of the best expressions of this movement that he pioneered in his sculpture.
Viewscapes will be on display at Naumkeag through November 1st.
Every week, Connecting Point explores the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. But it doesn't stop there. You can find us online anytime for exclusive features and content. The Boston Tea Party, which occurred the night of December 16, 1773, has been called the single most important event leading up to the American Revolution. As we approach its 250th anniversary, the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum has embarked on a campaign to recognize the grave sites of all known Tea Party participants. And as producer Dave Frazier shows us in this week's digital exclusive, on August 28th of this year, they visited the town of Blandford and placed a marker on the gravesite of Samuel Sloper.
As part of those efforts, we have been for years now doing research to find the final resting places of the 100 to 150 individuals that took part in the event that would become known as the Boston Tea Party. Well, hello everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Today is our 101st marker that we placed. So it's been a long project for us, a lot of labor, a combination of travel and research, but we're really honored to be able to share this history with each of the local communities.
You can find that digital exclusive online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. For 8 decades now, the Blind Boys of Alabama have solidified their status as icons of gospel music. The 5-time Grammy Award-winning group, which has seen several incarnations, were pivotal in shaping the sounds of gospel during the civil rights movement and continue to have an impact today. Having performed locally at UMass Amherst, I spoke with member Ricky McKinney to discuss the group's history and the importance of gospel music to the Black community and as an American heritage art form.
Well, gospel music has been important because it showed people that there's hope. As long as you have hope, you can do anything. And the Blind Boys were a group that were physically without sight, but they had insight. And they were a group like me. They were a group of dreamers. And if you can dream the dream and do the work and keep the faith, things usually work out. So the Blind Boys showed the world that no matter what your situation is, as long as you got hope. We wrote a song that took us to the White House one time that says, "We don't need no dope as long as we got hope." We let people know that a disability doesn't have to be a handicap. It's not about what you can't do. It's about what you do that makes the difference.
And I know also that you have had a really big, significant impact in pioneering the gospel genre into the 21st century and creating the sound that we hear today. Why do you think gospel has continued to make an impact on the American culture, even beyond the Jim Crow era South that you first were touring with?
Well, I think the thing about gospel music is that it's all about faith, and as long as people can get something from what you do. And what we try to do is make you feel good. And gospel music is feel good music. And we let people know we don't come to preach to you, but we're going to sing to you. We're going to sing songs that reaches the heart. And what's from the heart reaches the heart. And so we try to touch the soul, and that's what makes it work, because everybody got a soul.
When you're down and out and your friends are gone, how can I help you? When the holidays are here.
The accomplishments that the Blind Boys have acquired throughout the years are amazing. You're speaking about the Lifetime Achievement Award, also 5-time Grammy winners. Throughout the 8 decades that the Blind Boys have been together, the world has gone through so much change, but the one thing that has remained constant was this group. And so what is the secret behind surviving and thriving and also persevering as a group for all of these years?
Well, the thing that has kept us going is that we love what we do. We're happy that the people still can appreciate what we do. But we, most of all, Christians, and we try to let people know that, you know, hey, we can all come together. We sing good, we sing feel good music, and what keeps us going is when the people keep coming out and keep letting us know that we appreciate it and our music still touches somebody.
You all have really made a great impact on the disability community. And I know that, Ricky, even you yourself have taught masterclass in how to turn your, make your vision come to fruition. And so what message would you like to share with others within the community and also outside of that community?
I want to tell everybody this. This is the main thing I had to learn throughout life. And it's not about having a disability. It's about having the ability. And I've learned that just because you have the ability doesn't mean that you are the choice. So when you go out and you have an interview or you're trying to get with a group or whatever you're doing, just know that just because you have the ability doesn't mean you're not the choice. And many times in life, you're gonna go out and you're gonna try to do things and it might not turn out the way you want to, but just keep on pushing because your day is coming. It's just like a man told me one time, he said, Ricky, you know, I hear your name a lot of times. And sometimes I hear your name and you don't come up, you don't be on the show or whatever. He said, but if it's just like a diamond. If you chip on it hard enough, long enough, it's gonna break. So just keep doing what you're doing and realize that, hey, sometimes, you don't fail, but sometimes it does not go the way you want to. But remember, believe in yourself. As long as you believe in yourself, it's gonna be all right. Because sometimes you're just not the choice.
Nearly 500 English to speakers of other languages students have taken classes at Holyoke Community College this year. And this summer, HCC hosted a 2-month-long ESOL culinary class, which provided the students with a top-to-bottom understanding of and hands-on experience in the food service industry. Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan spent a day in the class at HCC's satellite campus on Ray Street here in the Holyoke Canal District and brings us the story.
The day begins with aspiring chefs each grabbing their own individual chicken to analyze and eventually prepare. This is what is known as an ESOL, or English for Speakers of Other Languages culinary class. Ideally, this includes any foreign language, but during this morning's class, those in attendance all spoke Spanish as their primary language. This is just one of many programs funded by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. It's also part of a broader network known as Mass STEP, which stands for Skills, Training, and Education Programs.
They're programs that really build on the strengths of a network of providers, adult basic education programs, so programs that work with students who are learning English, adult students who are learning English, or students who are earning their high school equivalency credentials, and then integrates that with the workforce development system.
The workforce in question is that of the hospitality industry. And at this stage in the program, the students are getting a crash course in all of the ins and outs of food preparation and restaurant management. At the helm for the morning class is an instructor whose soft-spoken approach won't have anyone confusing him for Gordon Ramsay.
The focus is on building confidence primarily through knife skills and basic cooking methods. So today is only day 2. Yesterday we looked at some ingredients, helped them to develop their sense of smell, their palate, able to evaluate and put words to ingredients. And now we'll start moving into basic knife skills, culinary methods. For me, it's about basic techniques and really starting to feel confident in the kitchen so that if you're presented with something new, you have the basic skill level and ability to not only learn it quickly, but to execute it perfectly.
And anyone thinking that an in-depth program like this one will require student loans to last half a lifetime will be pleasantly surprised.
These are all free programs. They're fully funded by the Department of Education plus the match from Holyoke Community College or the organization hosting. And they're all over the state, and that's a really exciting thing.
The program has so many different things going for it. For starters, the price can't be beat. In the 8 to 9 weeks that the classes run, it's thorough and hands-on. And a major bonus to the whole experience is that since 2018, all these classes have been taught here at this modernized off-campus location at 164 Race Street in downtown Holyoke. While it might be easy to lose focus, daydreaming, looking out the windows here onto the canal and countless rustic brick buildings dotting the landscape, husband and wife Alejandro and Clarissa remain unwavering. They've got their sights set on using these classes as a springboard to eventually open their own restaurant together.
Those tips that the chef is teaching us definitely is gonna help us. You know, it's gonna help me and my partner, that is my wife, you know, to make our restaurant, our dream come true.
I feel really blessed being here in the school. It's been amazing, all the knowledge that we have been able to get. The teachers, the chefs, are always on hand. They're always there to just like answer our questions. Anything like, I feel like they're so open and to teaching, and they love it. It's their passion.
In the one class that we visited, it was clear that the curriculum was about more than just cooking food. There was vocabulary, discussion of price points and budget management, and concepts like farm-raised versus wild-caught, just to name a few. And it's all designed to make the students that much more well-rounded when the program finally ends.
I'd like them to feel that they themselves feel ready to enter the workplace or move up if they're already working. So they're not, they feel like, yeah, I can do this, I can work in this profession, I like it, I'm good at it, and I can excel and continue to develop and grow.
And in this week's Digital Extra, Holyoke Community College's culinary arts instructor, Mark Ansel, discusses the joy that he finds in teaching others.
The education part never goes away, whether you're working in the profession or you're working as an educator in the state system. So for me, I always like to say I'm the only one that's getting older over the years. The students stay the same age year after year.
You can find that Digital Extra and so much more online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. Loneliness is a problem that has only increased since the pandemic, causing a different crisis of its own. This academic year, public health students at UMass Amherst have once again partnered with Northampton Neighbors for a special storytelling project entitled The Epidemic of Loneliness on Connection, Belonging, and Public Health. The course, which is led by Professor Gloria DeFulvio, connects students with elders in the community to participate in documented conversations that in turn lead to a strengthened bond and community engagement.
The seed for this class began actually before the pandemic, just about the time of the pandemic. I had read this book by Dr. Vivek Murthy, who's our current Surgeon General. The book is called Together, The Healing Power of Social Connection. And he was talking about how globally we are in a really loneliness pandemic where people are more disconnected for a variety of reasons, whether it's disconnection because of refugee status, disconnection because of losing home, disconnection because of aging. And in public health, a really central part of health is that social connection, that feeling of belonging, that sense that you matter in the world. And so I felt like it was a very important class to add to our curriculum in public health. And as I thought about, we can sit in a classroom and talk about these issues, but really the opportunity to connect and to actualize that connection was key to feeling like I wanted that to be a central part of the class.
And so Helen and Jonathan, you both were part of this course. Tell me what interested you in taking part in this project?
Well, I found that there was even more to it than Gloria mentioned. A lot of older people like myself may know their grandchildren, but they really don't know other people of that age and vice versa. And we were very frank with each other. We got to know each other through individual conversations, and then we recorded interviews. And it's amazing how easy it was.
Yeah, and for me as well, before I took this class, I was a bit hesitant about first taking this class and being a part of this intergenerational project, because I couldn't figure out how these two connections or these two generations could come together and connect and find common ground. I never got the chance to know my own grandparents, so I didn't even have a glimpse of how that could work. However, as I got through the project and learning and meeting my partner, I realized that we weren't all so different. We connected on not only our individual experiences of loneliness and being in part of this world, we also connected on things like, gardening, for example, or music or travel. It's like I was talking to a friend that I've known for a long time. And I realized a lot about myself and my personal belonging on this, this big earth.
And Helen and Jonathan, I know that there's a partnership that happens between the students and the Northampton Neighbor members. So tell me about that partnership and what happens. How does the interview work? What's the style like?
Well, Gloria put us together, and I'm amazed how quickly the friendship developed. I've become friends with both the students I worked with, and we're still in connection with each other. I'll be interested in what the permanent influence will be of this class. And I hope this class spreads, as I said, to law students. And I mean, it would fit for any kind of student, I think, not just nursing students.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Jonathan, because this loneliness, it's something that can affect all of us, regardless of what we're studying, our backgrounds, and it's something that it's a public health concern. And so if we're part of the public, it's a concern for all of us. So I think you make a really valid point that this is something.
And young people can be just as lonely as older people.
Well, and speaking of that, I was actually reading a Harvard report that was saying that the two demographics that have been most affected by loneliness are young adults and the elderly community. And so here you have these two generations coming together to kind of talk with each other. So tell me about some memorable moments and revelations that really stuck with you after doing the project and interviewing each other.
Some conversations are just general conversations about life, but others can be very focused. For instance, I had one student, member of a large family that she loves dearly, but she is the only person in the family who's vaccinated and who believes in vaccination. Everybody else was hostile to it. And how that all worked out was fascinating to listen to. And she was quite willing to talk about it.
And for me, with my partner, we did talk a lot about like, just smaller things. But during that time, during the spring semester, we had some situations going on with UMass Amherst and the Black community specifically. And so it was hard to verbalize that in a way, but my partner really pulled it out of me to really talk about it in a comfortable way, where I was like, I had to come back and realize like, even though this is still happening and it's sad and it's horrible, that I still belong here and that I can still find peace and belonging. It tears me up, but I still find belonging here, even though the rest of the world may not feel like may not feel like I do belong.
What have you learned about yourselves throughout this process?
That I'm worth listening to and that I have a story to tell. Sometimes it's hard to reflect on your life and figure out how something so small in your life could become something so big. Or like, before I thought stories were about, you had to have wisdom or age to tell a story, but a good story can come from anything. And I realized that even though, like I said before, there's this big world and that there's so much going on, that there's still people who want to listen to you, and there's people who still care to learn about who you are and the stories that you have to tell, and that you belong in some sort of space, whether that's a small space or a community, or that you belong and that you're connected to. There's so many people who want to be connected to you, and there's people that care to be connected.
And that does it for this edition of Connecting Point. Remember, you can always find all of the stories that you saw in this episode, as well as exclusive features, digital-only content, and so much more online anytime at nepm.org/connectingpoint. Our thanks to the residents of Holyoke's Canal District for hosting us today. And please be sure to join us again every week right here for more stories of the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. I'm Saidalis Bauer. Thanks for watching and take care.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers,